Welcome to the Adoption and Foster Care Journey, a podcast to encourage, educate, and equip you to care for children and youth through adoption, foster, and kinship care. Hosted by an adoptive mom with over 22 years of kinship and adoptive parenting experience. She's on this journey with you. Please welcome Sandra Flach.
For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. That is Ephesians 2:10. I'm your host, Sandra Flach. Welcome to this FASD Awareness Month episode of the Adoption and Foster Care Journey, where I am here to encourage and equip you for your parenting journey. As a mom myself of 8 kids, that's not too shocking because we are, the oldest is like 36 down to the youngest who is about to turn 20. But 5 of our kids came to us through adoption. 2 of them, our youngest 2, young adult sons, were both diagnosed with fetal alcohol syndrome when they were little. So I know the struggles that come from raising children who have trauma histories, who have prenatal exposure to alcohol. And my hope is that you will find this podcast to be an invaluable resource. It's something that I only wish I had had many, many years ago when we began our journey. So I hope that you will find encouragement and inspiration and community and some tools even to help you parent your kiddos. So speaking of those resources, I keep doing a little tease about my devotional book, Soul Care Saturday Devotions for Foster and Adoptive Moms, 52 devotions, that is, hoping that it will be released in November. My editor has been under the weather, sick for several weeks, so it's sort of bogged down a little bit, but I hope still to have it out to you in November. So stay tuned to all of our socials and this podcast and our website and all of that to get the latest there. And of course, speaking of the website, please go over and check out the updated Justice for Orphans website. You would just go to justicefororphansny.org. And on the homepage, you will see 3 big circles. And I think the one all the way over on the left is the one that says the Adoption and Foster Care Journey. And if you click that, it will take you right to what feels like the Adoption and Foster Care Journey website, but we have our own sort of little world there on that website where you'll find this podcast, but also all of our FASD resources, the classes that are available to take, find out about coaching, find out about our support group, all of the things, as well as my blog is right there too. So, and if you'd like to sign up for my monthly newsletter, I just send out once a month an email with an updated newsletter, kind of give you a sneak peek into the blog post and any kind of upcoming news. So if you go there, you'll have an opportunity to opt in if you would like to receive that. So, and also follow our socials. We started a new socials. Justice for Orphans started new socials for the Adoption and Foster Care Journey. So we're trying to build up those pages. So if you don't already follow us, you would go to Instagram. We are at AFC_journey. And on Facebook, it's just the Adoption and Foster Care Journey. So I invite you to like us, follow us there, interact. I love to connect with you there. We're trying to be real active in those pages. So we would love for you to go there. And of course, still this fall, I have some opportunities where if you are available to go to any of these wonderful conferences coming up for foster and adoptive parents, I invite you to come on out to the Christian Alliance for Orphans Summit in Houston, October 1st through 3rd. It's not too late to sign up, to register to come. I will be leading an FASD workshop there entitled Hope Beyond Frustration, Incremental Growth Through Simple and Consistent Practices, and also a meetup. We have a room set aside for us and a designated time to meet up, parents of kiddos with FASD. whether they're diagnosed or not, you're on this journey. You just suspect you're on this journey. You can meet up and we just have a time of fellowship and just encouraging one another there. And then also in October, I will be at the Replanted Conference in Chicago, and that is October 23rd through 25th. I will also be leading a workshop there called Wire Differently, Understanding FASD Trauma and the Brain. And I will have an exhibitor booth, a table at both CAFO and Replanted, so you can stop by, get some of our printed materials. I'll have my book available there to sign, not the devotional, but I may have, we're hoping to have a little freebie to give away there as well. So check that out. If you're able to get out to either one of those conferences, we do have links in the show notes on how to take you right there to register on their website. So now, I'm super excited to get to our next FASD Awareness Month guest. Today, I am just so honored to have with us adult adoptee Emily Twomey. Emily was diagnosed with FASD when she was adopted at age 2. She is currently married and the mom of 2 boys and 3 bonus kiddos. She also created a small business, a beautiful candle store. We're going to learn all about it. Please welcome Emily Twomey. Hi, Emily. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
I'm super excited to get to know you. My dear friend and fellow leader of our support group, Debbie Raymond, connected the two of us. And I'm excited for our listeners to get to know you as well. This is our FASD Awareness Month series of episodes. And I'd love to just kind of start at the beginning. Would you share some of your adoption story with us? I know you were adopted at age 2. What do you know about that story?
So I know that I was in foster care. I think I got into foster care around 1 years old. And I was taken from my mom because she had kind of abandoned us. So she was an alcoholic and also a drug addict. And they had found us and put us into foster care, me and my brother. We were in foster care, and my adopted mom met my foster parents in church.
Oh.
Yeah. And at the time we were doing testing and everything like that because I was really behind in a lot of stuff, like pronouncing words, talking. There was things that I didn't comprehend very much, like things that were hot. They would warn me that it was hot and to not touch it, and I would touch it anyway. So they were doing testings and stuff on me. When I was adopted at age 2, my adopted dad and adopted mom and adopting me and then sending me to Kennedy Krieger to see if there was anything like they could help with or find out.
Wow. And is that when you got your diagnosis, or did they know you had FASD when they adopted you?
So they didn't know I had it. My mom took me, and I think at age 4, she ended up finding out that I had FASD, just because I still wasn't like walking very well. I wasn't talking very well. And a lot of the doctors had her that, she might not progress in life just because she does have FASD, to not like be discouraged or anything like that. But I'm walking fine.
Walking fine and talking fine and looking
Yes.
lovely, I will say. So, wow. So then, you got that diagnosis growing up. So you had those delays early on when you were really little, but growing up through childhood, going to school and that kind of thing. What were some of the symptoms and challenges that the FASD caused for you?
Yeah. It was a lot of speech impediment. I had a lot of speech problems where I had to be in speech class. I want to say twice a day I would go to speech class just to get my speech up and pronouncing words. A lot of not being able to comprehend things, that were probably simple to everyone else. Just like the hot thing, if someone told me not to do something, my brain couldn't comprehend of that's dangerous, that's bad, don't do it. It would go into an impulsiveness of, oh, I have to figure out and find out what's going to happen. But even then, it just like, it would teach me a lesson, but I wouldn't understand it. And I would just go right back to it over and over again. A lot of the anger is a big factor too. I had a lot of anger problems, not being able to express my emotions or um, being able to express what was wrong and what I needed help with was kind of difficult too.
Wow. So that sounds so much like many of our kids, our listeners can relate to some of that for sure. Um, what about, I don't know, can you hear that dinging? Somebody's texting me and I have my phone on silent, but it's coming through my computer. So I apologize for anybody who hears this sudden ding. It's a distraction to me too. What about your parents? Like what did they do? How did they help you as you were struggling with these things, with the anger and with the impulsivity and all of that?
They were very patient, I will say that. um, just breaking things down for me really helped. And taking it easy, not to like respond in anger would help a lot. Um, my mom was completely different than my dad. My mom was more of that, let's pray about it. Let's, make sure that we take it in God's hands, that God like watches over us and stuff. But she would also work with giving me self confidence, like just telling me, like, you're beautiful, you're perfect, you made a mistake, it's okay, let's fix it. My dad was more of the, um, you did something wrong and I'm going to punish you for it, but this is what you did wrong type thing. So I guess like the two different punishments and the way they handled it kind of helped me now in an adulthood, because it's like I have options and I get to know what options are and what's the outcome with options.
Yeah. Yeah. So what about school? Because I know for a lot of our kids, school, especially as they get into middle school, high school, it can become really challenging. So what was school like for you over the years?
Elementary school was pretty easy. I want to say when middle school did happen, a lot of the behaviors started to come out. A lot of the impulsivity, the secretiveness, the just hanging with the wrong crowds and feeling like I had to be bad to fit in type of thing. I think a lot of that also was I didn't want to be in class because there was a lot of things that I thought I couldn't do and that I thought that I couldn't learn. And the teachers wouldn't take the time to like come over and see, like, are you okay? Do you need help? Just with little things, it's just anxiety walking into the classroom, knowing that you have a disability, especially a learning one, and the teachers wouldn't take the time to like pull me aside and help me or anything like that. So it's like anxiety and struggle where I just wanted to be bad just so I don't have to go to class.
Wow. So to avoid the anxiety and the stress of the whole thing.
Yes.
Makes perfect sense, really. So did you graduate from high school? Was it a regular school that you were in, regular classroom, or was it special education?
So it was special education. I actually graduated through a group home that I was put into at age 12. Um, I guess my adopted parents couldn't really handle with the behaviors that I was having.
Okay. Tell
And
us
ended
about
up,
all of that. Yeah.
yeah, and ended up putting me back into the system. So I grew up in a group home from age 12 to 18. So when I graduated, I actually graduated from a group home. Um, and that was kind of even hard too, because I almost dropped out um, and stopped going to school once I was released from the group home. I went back to my real mom and didn't go to school. And one of the teachers from the school actually pulled me and was like, "You're coming with me and you're going to graduate and you're going to walk across that stage and we're going to do everything we can to get you to graduate." So,
Wow. What a great teacher.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious about going into the group home. What was there like? Was it a series of things or was there like one final, like the last straw that your adoptive parents reached a point to where they were like, we can't do this anymore?
Yeah, it was a series of things. It was getting in trouble in school, it was the lying, stealing, um, the anger problems, running away. It just was just a series of things that they just couldn't handle, and they felt like they couldn't give me the best care that they could give me. Um, I'm kind of grateful for it, even though group homes were rough and wasn't something I was used to, especially with fetal alcohol syndrome. It's really, really hard being in a group home, um, and having to like live that kind of life. Um, but I'm glad it happened, and I'm glad that they put me in there because I don't think I would have changed if I was still out in the real world.
Wow. So you look at it as a positive. Was it the structured environment of the group home? Were they aware of FASD? Were there other kids with FASD?
Yeah, I don't know if there was other kids with FASD. They weren't aware of it at all. They also weren't aware with like some of the behaviors that I did have came from FASD. They put me on a lot of medicines for different like symptoms and stuff like that, and I would refuse to take them because it was just I wanted to learn how to control things on my own and not have medicine be able to, you know, to contradict what I do and what I don't do. I wanted to kind of like strengthen my brain organically and learn that like this is the consequences that you get when you do this or you act this way. And the staff didn't really help me with that. I think a lot of like quietness in my room and learning that like I'm all alone. I don't have anybody right now. And what can I do to change this? And how can I make my life better by, what can I change to make my life better?
Wow. So a lot of insight and self-reflection and a desire
Mhm.
to make things better. That's just wonderful. I'm curious to know too, how is your relationship or do you have a relationship with your adoptive parents after all of that?
Yeah, I think when I got out of a group home and I got away from my real mom and everything, it took them a while to warm up to see like the new Emily, who I was, who I became. Because when I was in a group home, they didn't contact me, really talk to me or anything.
Mm.
Um, so when I came out and I reached out to them, they were still angry and they were still not angry, but they were still kind of on the fence of like, is she still the same? So they kind of kept me at a distance. Now they are in my kids' life, and I'm actually going to a FASD gala next week with my mom, with my adopted mom. They check in with me and are there for me.
Is that the FASD United Impact Week, the Red Shoes Gala?
Yes. Yep.
I will be there. So I will be
Oh, yay.
person. And I'm bringing my son, Slava, he'll be 20 in October and he has FAS. So I didn't even know you were going. So that's
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So I'd love to meet your mom too. So I'm thrilled to hear that you have a good relationship now. So that's
Mhm.
exciting. So you graduated from the program, the school. What did you do after that? What came next for you?
Next, I didn't get in trouble anymore. But I did get pregnant at a young age. I think I was 19, yeah, 19 when I got pregnant. Was in a very bad abusive relationship. My real mom was still on drugs and everything. So I ended up being in that relationship and just hopping from house to house pregnant. Um, and then I met my husband, and nannied his kids for a little bit, and then we fell in love. And I don't know, when I was pregnant with my first son, we ended up getting together, and then I ended up running again to Pennsylvania and then getting pregnant with my second son. And then I came back down with both kids just to find a stable home and, start my life, because I was done running with two little babies. I didn't want that for them.
Wow. And where's home for you? What state is home?
Maryland.
You're in Maryland.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in upstate New York. So,
Yeah.
wow. So then you got married and you have your two babies. And
Mhm.
I know your bio said you have bonus kids. So tell us about that.
Um, so my husband has a 25-year-old daughter, and then he has a 21-year-old son. And then he has a stepson. I think he's 30 something, maybe 32 or something like that. Um, that's his stepson, but we still claim him as our own. And then we have two grandbabies. So yeah, we have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and they are the precious little things ever.
Wow. I know grandbabies are the best. And I'll say to you what so many people say to me, you don't look like you're a
Oh,
grandparent.
yeah. And I always say I'm a Mimi.
Yeah, I'm a bit too. That's what my grandkids call
Oh, yeah.
me. Yeah, I love that. Do you mind if I ask you how old you actually are?
37.
37. Okay. So you
Mhm.
are still young as a grandparent. I'm
I
young too.
am.
I'm 58 and I have 9 grandchildren. So
Oh my goodness. Oh.
yeah, yeah. And we actually have 2 on the way, but we have
Yeah.
8 kids. So when 8 kids, 5 of them are adopted. So when you have that many kids, you get lots of grandkids. So I'm just
Mhm.
loving that part of it. Um,
Yeah.
grandbabies are the best.
Yes.
Sandra Flach, host of the Adoption and Foster Care Journey podcast, and FASD educator Debbie Raymond invite you to join Hope for the FASD Journey, a virtual support community for parents and caregivers raising individuals with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, diagnosed or not. This faith-based support community meets online 3 times each month, features special VIP guests, and a private Facebook group for members only, which includes Soul Care Saturday video devotionals led by Sandra and Deb. Both Sandra and Deb are adoptive moms raising kids with FASD and facilitators of the Facets neurobehavioral model. For details and to register, visit justicefororphansny.org/hope-community. That's justicefororphansny.org/hope-community.
Oh my goodness. So I'm so excited to hear about the grandbabies and that I'm going to get to meet you in DC soon.
Yeah.
But so as an adult now, as a mom, a grandma, a wife, how does FASD affect your everyday life now, or does it?
It definitely affects it now. I feel like the older I get, the more I tend to go back to my ways I used to act when I was younger. Um, Not so much with like the anger and stuff, but a lot of like the learning disabilities, the speaking, the anxiety. Um, there's a lot of stuff that I have to lean on my husband with, like finances. I have nothing to do with them. I put myself in debt almost every day. And he kind of helps me, guide me, takes the finances away from me, and tells me, like, this is all you can spend. You can't have the credit card. You can't even look at the bank account, because finances just, it gives me anxiety. No matter how much I try to understand it, it just is not, it's not there for me.
Yeah, and
um,
that's so common because I know one of my older adopted kids who's in her 30s, older 30s, and she's not diagnosed, but like because we years ago is when we brought her home and we had no idea anything about FASD or anything, so we didn't know. But I do know in her 20s, she totally trashed her credit. Like she abused the credit cards, ran herself into huge debt. So that was really hard for her. And of course,
yeah.
that affects the older you get, then that affects things like your credit line and being able to, get a mortgage on a house and that kind of
Mhm.
thing. So it definitely has it can have long-term consequences. So it sounds like that's an accommodation between you and your husband. He takes care of the money so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, yeah. And he also helps me out with like certain things that I'll do. Like if I'm cooking dinner, my brain won't process that. Like if something's in the oven and I go to take it out, usually like I feel like the older I get, the not the dumber I get, but the common sense just isn't there anymore. I just forget to use the oven mitt and then I will touch it and be like, that hurts. And I get so angry because it's just like, I just hurt myself and it's common sense to go put oven mitts on when you're taking something out of the oven. But it's just the way my brain processes. And it's a lot of times when I'm stressed out with, because I also have a small business, so when I'm stressed out, it's hard to like balance everything for me. And I can't like comprehend things or be able to handle that stress. It just, my brain goes blank and
And I
it's
think
just,
that's common. I think that the
mhm,
stress, it's hard enough to navigate the daily things. And then when there's stress involved, it's like there's even less of an ability to be able to do that. I've heard one trainer, FASD trainer, talk about how like our executive function, part of our brain, which, is responsible for memory and, that common sense stuff and decision making and all of that. Um,
mhm,
we only have just so much executive function fuel in our gas tank. And as we go throughout the day, it decreases. And people with FASD have even less fuel to start with, and they use it up really fast. And then it's harder to do even the basic things. And then there's, when there's stress, especially, it's even more so. So that I totally understand that because I've seen that in my kids too, when they're having a hard day, when they're stressed out, when they're tired, when they're hungry, when they don't feel well, then
yeah.
they're less apt to have good memory, good decision making. They're more irritable and cranky, and it's really, really hard. So I totally
Mhm.
understand what you're saying there.
Yeah, and it takes a lot as a mother to not put it on my kids too. There's sometimes I will like talk to my kids or I'll say something and trying to like explain something to them doesn't make sense to them, where my husband has to then come in and be like, she means like if
Yep.
you don't go to football, you're going to get kicked off the team. But to me, it's just like, you're going to get kicked off the team and you're not going to be able to play. And then you're going to be sad. And I just go into overload. And he's just like, she means if you don't dedicate yourself, you're going to get kicked off the team. And just leave it like that. But me, I'm like, oh my gosh, like the whole world's ending.
Yes, yes. I think that's common too, because especially with one of my boys, it's everything's a catastrophe, even if it's not, right? Everything is always
Mhm.
worst case scenario, the world is ending, and and it's like we have to try to tell him, not everything is worst case terrible. Things can be just you can have a rough day, you can be sad, but it doesn't mean the world is ending and you're mad and everybody's mean and everything is terrible, but maybe you just you're sad today.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard to navigate that. Do you know Rebecca Talou?
I do. I have not met her in person yet, but I met her during COVID time. So I know she's going to be at the gala,
Yes.
and I'm
She's gonna
excited.
be at the gala. She lives not far from me, so I know her. I've
Okay.
met her in person on a number of times. We've done some training together, and I love how, because she's married, she has two older sons now, and she talks about her accommodations, how she and her husband make it work. Like he does all the cooking because she's
Mhm.
like, I can't even figure out how to get the meat done and the vegetable done at the same time, so everything's ready together. She's like, it's just too much. He does all the cooking. So, are there other things aside from finances and help with the kids that your husband helps you with?
He does help me with packing stuff up, like lunch and stuff like that. Just because in the morning time I'm a very slow um getter upper. I like to stay in bed. If I could like cut myself from the whole world, I would. So if I go to work at 11, I don't get out of bed until 10:30, and then I hurry up and rush and then get anxiety because I'm rushing. So he accommodates that. He makes me lunch and he makes sure that I bring it with me, or he'll get me out of bed with coffee and make me breakfast. And he does little stuff like that because he knows that I struggle with, coordinating time with what I need to do in life.
Wow. Well, he sounds like a great guy and a great
He
support
is.
to you. I love that. Love that. But Emily, what are your strengths? Because we know every person, I believe every person has gifts and talents that God has given them. And we know folks with FASD have, I call them superpowers, right? Our kids have superpowers. What are your strengths?
I would say my strength is being creative, but also, um, I would say being creative
Yeah, I love
is,
that because you have a candle business. Tell us about
yes.
that.
So my candle business is it's all natural. It's all soy wax and everything like that. I actually have a store where people come in and make their own candles. And I feel like it is a push for me to actually socialize and become like, learn other people and their habits and their ways and the way they socialize. And it makes me feel like I'm not different and it doesn't intimidate me. I have a lot of good customers who support me and love me. And it's like a booster. My store is my peace. It's what I
Love
love.
it. Your store is in Maryland.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Right on Northeast on Main Street.
Wow. And what's the name of
Yeah.
it?
It's Nature's Glow Candle Company.
Nature's Glow Candle Company. I love that. Is
Mhm.
there a website for it? How would people find it if they were coming to town? What town are you in Maryland?
Northeast.
All right.
Yep.
Northeast.
So it's Cecil County, Northeast Maryland, right on Main Street. I do have a website. It's Nature's Glow Candle Company.
Love it. Well, we'll put that in our show notes so that our
Yeah.
listeners can check out your store because that
Thank
sounds
you.
so exciting. How did you get interested in making candles?
So when COVID happened, I was teaching severe autism. I was doing it in school, teaching them. And then when COVID happened, it got hard for me to teach them over online. Just like any teacher would, you know. But when things are hard, I give up and I don't really push through. But this was a good give up. It was like okay, I can't handle this no more. Let me do something that I'm going to be able to do for the rest of my life and enjoy doing it. So my neighbor came over and she said, I feel like this is going to be perfect for you. I feel like we need to learn this together and then let you blossom by yourself. So she actually came over and she did it with me and we had a whole business set. And then she was like, all right, you're ready. And within a year of making candles, I opened up a store and took the jump and it's been going good.
Wow, that is incredible. That is
Yeah.
exciting. For any small business person, it's
Mhm.
exciting to hear that. I love to support small business and local business, and all the better, to hear that
Yes.
an adult who has FASD can be successful in starting their own business. I love, love, love that. Um, Emily, what do you want people to know about individuals with FASD?
Um, I would say that we struggle a lot and sometimes we might not understand our struggles and we might not understand how to fix it. I just want them to know that like being patient and loving us for who we are is the biggest thing for us, to let us know that we're different but we can make it out in the world, and teaching us the way we need to be teached.
Yeah, I love that. And what are your goals for the future? You're going to continue with the candle business? Anything else?
Yeah, I'm gonna finish with the candle business. I'm gonna do that until I can't do it no more. Hopefully it's for a long time. And then I don't know. I think my biggest goal is to, which is gonna be really, really hard, is to understand finances, just because that's my biggest struggle. But I always say, if anything ever happens to my husband, I want to know that I'm financially okay, just because I don't want it to all be on him. I want to learn myself. So that's like my biggest goal, is to learn finances, get it down, be stable, and not be so impulsive with it.
No, those are all good things. Does he help you with, because running a business includes finances, right? So does your
Mhm.
husband help you with that, or is there somebody else helping you with the business?
Yeah, I have my husband, and then I have a bookkeeper and tax guy who helps me with it.
That's
And then I
wonderful.
tell them, I don't mess with numbers, so you guys do what you gotta do. I just trust them.
I hear you because I founded the nonprofit that this podcast is part of, but we have a bookkeeper and we have a tax guy because we really don't want me, you
Yeah.
know, messing with all of that. That's a big, that's not my area of expertise at all. And
Yeah.
I don't want it to be because, I love to talk. I feel like that's my strength. I love to, as you can tell, that's how you
Mhm.
have a podcast, you talk. So I love to talk to people. I love to talk, and I love to teach, and I love to do all of those things. And I don't like to have to do paperwork and do accounting and bookkeeping kind of things. It's like yucky. So we all
Yeah.
have our strengths and we all have those things we'd rather not do. And I think that applies to everybody for sure. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So Emily, I feel like I could talk to you forever, and I'm super psyched to
Oh,
be able to meet you next
yes.
and in DC. But as we wrap up, like I said earlier, our listeners are primarily foster and adoptive parents. Many of us are caring for kids with FASD. Some might not even realize it until they hear our conversation and they recognize all of those symptoms that you've dealt with all of your life. Sounds like probably their kids, right? Um,
Mhm.
but you know how hard it can be, and a lot of us are struggling. Some of our listeners have kids who have had to go into group homes or have had problems with the criminal justice system. They've, have been arrested or they've been in jail. They have to go to court and those kinds of things. Running away, some are dabbling, with drugs and alcohol, possibly. All of those things make us worry about the future for our kids. Like what possible future could they have? And your story gives us all hope, I'm sure.
Mhm.
But what would you say to our parents that are listening to, could you offer some words of encouragement to us who are really worried about our kids and their future?
Yeah, I would say be patient and pray for them.
Mhm.
Pray for them, continue on being there for them. Sometimes no words are the best words for us. Just us having to learn about our reactions ourself. And disappointment is the biggest thing to us. We tend to act like we don't care, but we really do care. We beat ourselves up for it. So just showing us grace and showing us that you love and support us no matter what, and that you're always there no matter what stage of life or things that we're doing in our life. And definitely praying hard.
I love that. So your adoptive parents were people of faith, and it sounds like that has been passed down to you. Was that the case as well?
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Love that. Love that, because a lot of our listeners are people of faith too. And we're praying and we're, trying to hang in there. So you are such an inspiration and an encouragement to
Thank you.
us, Emily. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I look forward to meeting you in person and just very right around the corner.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And thank you for listening to this FASD month edition of the Adoption and Foster Care Journey. I hope you were inspired and encouraged by my conversation with Emily. What a precious young woman, mom, Mimi, like me. She's a Mimi, but just such an inspiration and just giving us hope for our kids, because she battled a lot of the things that we are concerned about, that our kids could possibly go through, and then she's made it through them, right? And some of our kids are going through or have gone through some of the same things. So she's 37 and she's doing really well. She hasn't outgrown FASD. However, she's got lots of support and a lot of accommodations, and she's got strengths, and she's got a business and she's doing really well. And that gives me hope too. So I hope you are inspired as well. In addition to encouraging and inspiring you, of course, through this podcast, I've got some great resources for your parenting journey. You heard in the commercial about our Hope for the FASD Journey support community. And I also offer one-on-one parent coaching and in-person and online FASD workshops. You can find all of that information and how to sign up for things on our website. Again, that you just go to justicefororphansny.org. There is a link in the show notes there as well. And so you can check those out. And I'll also put a link into Emily's store, her candle store in Maryland, in case you would like to check that out. So yeah, as a mom of 2 young adult sons, both diagnosed with FAS when they were little, I spent many years trying to figure out what is going on. Is it trauma? Is it the ADHD? Is it this FAS diagnosis that I know about but don't really know enough to know what to do about it? Applied those connected parenting principles, which I fully endorse as well. And things were pretty good until our boys became teenagers. And then you wonder, what is this dumpster fire? What is going on? Our kids all have some level of trauma if they've come to us through foster care or adoption, even if it was a domestic adoption and we cut the cord in the delivery room, right? There's still a loss. There is still a trauma there. And trauma in and of itself has affects the brain development, which will present in symptoms and behaviors. And then if there was prenatal exposure to alcohol or other substances, then you've got even more impact on the developing brain. And many, many of our kids have both, which magnifies the symptoms. So I just invite you to check out the training that I offer. Every month I do offer a free 1-hour live intro to FASD. And you can learn about all of the symptoms of prenatal exposure. They overlap with the symptoms of trauma, so you might not even realize that that is actually what's going on. And then I teach a brain-based approach to parenting based on the Facets neurobehavioral model, which I am a certified facilitator of. In addition to the free 1-hour online workshop, which I offer different days and times just to try to always make it available to somebody. I also offer a 3-hour session that you can sign up for with a registration fee. And coming up at the end of October, I will be starting the deep dive, which is 5 3-hour sessions. So it's a total of 15 hours of content using the Facets neurobehavioral model. And we just meet once a week for 3 hours. We have 5 sessions. Every one of the workshops that you sign up for, you'll get a certificate of completion for. So if you're needing to get your continuing education hours, credits for your foster parenting license and all of that, you'll be able to have that. But you can find all of the schedule and the classes that are listed there on our website. And also, if you're looking to bring me in to do an in-person training with your foster and adoptive parent support group or agency, I just got back from Ohio where I got to do a training with about 50 parents and caregivers with the Hope Bridge folks in Hartville. And that was just wonderful. I had such an amazing time there. And so I would love to be able to come to you. So I do travel and do that as well. And again, you can find all of that information on our website. Be sure to subscribe to our social media on Facebook and Instagram. We do also have a YouTube channel. So if you would like to watch this podcast, it is at the Justice for Orphans YouTube channel. All of the video versions of the podcast are posted there as well. So thank you again for following this podcast. Leave us a review, give us a 5-star rating. I hope we earned it. And make sure that you tune in next week for another guest as we continue our conversations to celebrate FASD Awareness Month. Thank you. I'm so grateful that you continued to listen, and I'm thrilled to have you along for the journey.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Adoption and Foster Care Journey podcast, brought to you by Justice for Orphans. We hope you were encouraged today. Please be sure to subscribe to this podcast and leave a review, and share it with your fellow foster and adoptive parent friends so they can be encouraged too. Be sure to find and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Justice for Orphans, and check out our website for vital resources at justicefororphansny.org.